as a DM, I think it's very easy to be like, well, I've got this city like this and this town like this and this town, and the players haven't seen any of that. And maybe you switch things up because like it's so easy to say like, well, I mean, if you just gone inland a little, there was a town just like what you would have had fun playing in, but you went to this one. It's like, well, then fucking switch them. Just fucking switch them.
Yeah. Let's go to our first topic today. Boom. How to make towns. Oops. I was gonna say how to make towns unique. Basically.
There we go.
Or more uniquer or differenter than the other towns better. That are more same-er.
More better.
Yes.
Yeah. I was thinking during the week, because, I spend all my free time thinking about how to make DM office hours better. It popped into my head, like, because I'm getting the itch, to start like a campaign. I played in my brother's campaign this week, which was fun.
About herpes.
No. I have.
Okay.
But I was thinking like one of the really fun elements is like going to new places, right? At least in my campaigns, I like to try and make new places feel very fun and unique. And I was just like thinking about all the fun things that you can do in a new town. I got a burp. I'm muted. You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
But all of I know you do. Sort of all the fun sort of ways that you can manipulate culture or manipulate like the players, like how they're introduced to the town, or like the first way that they, go into town can often very much flavor the way that they view the town from then on. So I was thinking about a bunch of just like fun sort of ways to introduce towns and stuff. And I don't know, that's why I wanted to talk about it. What do you guys feel about this sort of shiz?
Well, Obi says, my IRL game feels like the best way to make a town unique is to burn it down. But if you burn down all the towns, Obi, then they're all the same in a way.
That's true.
So you're taking uniqueness. He's talking about how to take uniqueness out of towns, burn them all to the ground, like a 1945 Europe situation. I don't know. I mean, I think you're right. Like going to a new place can be really, really fun. There's a lot of fun, especially on the DM side, to put little. Like I think with towns you want to put at least one or two very specific things even, in. Yeah, like fun things, right? Like you walk into a town and you're like, this town has a black rock fortress wall that's nearly 60 feet tall around the entire town. And the sun goes down very early in here because the wall is so tall, right?
Yeah.
So like,
oh, that's fun. I like that.
I mean, just something like that, but then like,
but it like sets a tone immediately.
Exactly.
Like,
what is that wall? Like, who are they keeping out, or who are they keeping
or in, or whatever? Right? Yeah. It's just those are the sorts of things that I find are so much fun because, like, oftentimes, like you'll be doing your players have to go from A to B, and it's like a number of days of travel, or maybe like a week's travel, and sometimes I don't want to just wave the wand and like you're there because it makes the world kind of feel less real to me.
Makes it feel small.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And I think, in my opinion, the best part of like yesteryear imagining is like how small the world kind of everyone's worlds were. Like the world itself was so much larger because it was so much more difficult to get everywhere, right? So everyone like in a town, for the majority, probably stayed around that area, right? So traveling to a new place, all of a sudden like you're the new person, and it just, if you're going from place to place, it's like I was finding myself being like, yeah, and you find another town, and then I'm looking back, I'm like, and they were all kind of the same. And that might be the case in real life, but it kind of sucks when you're playing a fantasy game, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like not everything has to be fantastical. Like your wall example, like they could be like, oh, I don't know, it's just always been that way.
Yeah.
Right.
We found a town like this. The town was founded around this giant tube.
Yeah. Or it's just forgotten, right? Like maybe somebody knew at some point, and maybe they can go and find a library somewhere that has records, or some elf. Just been around. Just like, oh yeah, I remember that.
I remember when they built that. Idiots.
Yeah, Keith was like obsessed with walls. He's a fucking moron. Yeah, no, but that's fun.
Rich Keith and his walls.
Yeah. He taxed the hell out of it. He killed everyone in the town. But it's a nice wall. What else? What other fun sort of
Obi
fun
says,
things?
I like to add small statues that represent local heroes, or maybe change some of the color. For example, the clay in the area is different, so like the statues have different colors and such like that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Like
I dig
any of that
that.
stuff is really fun. Like colors, I think can add a lot, right? Like saying the wall is black rock wall is different than saying there's this brownish red clay brick wall, almost like a
or like field stone or something like that.
Yeah. It has a definite. I mean, especially even if you haven't played World of Warcraft and you don't know what Black Rock Spire is, it's still.
Oh, I actually don't. I don't. It sounds nice though. I never really got out of Goldshire, if I'm being honest. I killed Hogger once. That was pretty much it. That was like the peak. And then I would just run through lands that I was like way too low level for and just try not to get killed. And that was the extent of my Warcraft days.
You know, you could probably just stop at Hogger, I bet you. And I think you've gotten 99% of the World of Warcraft experience. I mean, I played for years and I'm like, I don't know much more than Hogger.
Did you really play for years?
Maybe a year. Yeah,
but like a year,
played with
like
me.
9 hours, 10 hours a day.
You know,
like for that year.
I played off and on, so probably total a year. But we played, we played quite a bit. I go through phases with MMOs where I just dive in. But you know, to be honest, I'm bringing up unique towns. World of Warcraft was one of the best immersive games I have ever experienced. When the game first came out, you walk into Stormwind, this huge castle of the humans, and you're in this big place and everything felt big. They made the statues huge. The scale was amazing. And just to run from one side, epic. To run one side to the other felt like a long endeavor.
Yeah, it was like inconveniently large.
Yeah. And you had to take
these, awesome.
like, you literally had to take griffins to just go down the street to fly. You had to pay for them. And it's like when you got your steed, the world became a slightly smaller place, but you had to earn that. And that felt strong because you had to get your steed so late. Or you go to like, I think it's called Ironforge. What was the Dwarven town? Gethron. What's the Dwarven town? I think it's
that
Ironforge.
Sounds right. In the mountains, right?
Yeah, and the Dwarven city was huge. You're underground. There's just lava everywhere. It had its own feel. I mean, everything.
Should we just be playing World of Warcraft and ditch D&D?
Yeah, I think Ironforge. Yeah.
No, they did do a good job, though. You're right.
But
it felt. I mean, in the limited amount that I played, it did. It felt
small little things, right? I mean, music. I always think music to me is the number one thing that will set a tone and a feeling better than anything else, in my opinion. That's why I always I scour the internet for hours and hours and hours to make like all the big towns in my game have their own unique soundtrack. So it's you know, it's a thing I like to do. Obviously, that's a lot of work, and if you don't have a stream deck, it's a really hard thing to do in a live game. But if you
it's also difficult streaming too, because you're limited in what music you can use, you know. Playing in my brother's game, he brought in some like a player had just died, and he brought in a Radiohead cover that I guess someone had arranged for Westworld, and it was like so spot on. I was like, oh wow, yeah, that's great when you can use like real music. It's so nice, you know. Oh, it hits correctly. But,
yeah, if you want to make your town unique, get different. Like replayable soundtracks, looping like soundtracks for towns, or even like, you know, like a couple songs that kind of match the tone.
I can see that.
Even find games. Like there's a lot of times like you can be like, oh, this is the Skyrim town. This is the Witcher 3 town. And just start using like the music from those different games. Because you can go on like YouTube and be like, all right, I'm going to play.
The only way that can backfire is if your players have played every video game ever. And they will constantly be distracted, like, wait, what song is that? What song is that? I used to play like just hour-long like YouTube mixes. They would have them, and like everyone at the table would stop playing. They'd be like, "That's a Witcher, right? That's right." I'm like, guys, I don't know. It's just ignore them. But
sorry, man.
But it was sweet.
But the fact that we could name the songs from the different
means it's pretty good music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I highly suggest taking the this is something I've had a lot of luck with. If you get to like Final Fantasy 14 has some of the best music in towns I've ever heard. Because they paid like top dollar for like the best composer in the world to make this stuff. At least one of my favorite composers. Just find like the different towns of Final Fantasy 14 and just loop that. Just loop those songs. Those are like really easy. Every town has like its already specific feel to it. And if your players play Final Fantasy 14, then there's a little bit of added fun to that too, because they probably already love the music, or they're bored to tears of it and they don't want to hear it anymore. So maybe watch that. But
get them out of that town.
Yeah.
Other things you can do is you can introduce the town in like an interesting way, or like you can really flavor the people there, I think, which can be fun. I was thinking about like, especially as your players begin to like level up, you know, if they're starting to get some like sweet equipment or a little bit of renown, like you can have the townspeople sort of like be looking at them like, who are these people, you know, like that. It's a thing that you can overdo easily, but it's also like, it's fun to switch it up, especially if they've been having the shit kicked out of them somewhere, to like roll into a new town and have people be like, holy fuck, look at you guys. You are impressive looking. Where'd you get that armor? You know, like, you know, like, or have like, you know,
sell that or no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or have it be like, people have no use for that, right? In this town, like they're not adventurers, but they're like, it would be like someone rolling into your town when you're a kid in a Lamborghini, right? And you're just sort of like, oh, what's up with you?
Yeah.
Right? Like if someone came in on a horse in like full plate with a shield and a thing, or like in, you know, like a
just like a nice sword,
even just
right? Like
right,
a sword
exactly.
is an incredibly expensive item that's not
exactly
really useful at all.
Right.
In 99.9% of the situations.
Right, like you would have an axe for almost every.
It's a decoration, right? A sword is kind
of
a decoration, even like in medieval times, right? Like it was a status, a social status.
A status symbol, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
it's
absolutely.
like, we'll just get a spear and you can stab them from farther away.
Yeah, and it'll probably be way more effective.
So cheaper.
Cheaper? Exactly.
So much cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little piece of metal on the end of a stick.
Exactly, but then you have people relay that, like, whoa, what are you guys doing with swords and stuff? You know,
that man has spinning platinum rims on his car.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think that can add. It can sort of color the player's idea of the place, right?
Mm-hmm. And the culture of the town, right? Like the culture of the town is like, if there are people who are very welcoming to new people, you know, that's like a huge thing, right? Like that's one thing I always decide. Are they welcoming? Like there's three things, right? Are they hostile, welcoming, or are they indifferent, right? Mm-hmm. I think if towns that have a lot of people come and go, probably indifferent, right? They're just probably like people come and go all the time. You're not that. I mean, unless you're like a bard who's covered in like gold and jewels, who has like platinum hair and a diamond harp, and you're like, riding a dragon.
And people might be like, okay, I'm gonna go to the pub tonight, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
But that can also be fun too, like, you know, like the Wheel of Time, sort of the Gleeman comes into town, and everybody's like, oh shit, man. The radio just came to town, right? Which is essentially what.
Oh my god! Feeling good.
So it's like that can make them feel special too, but it can also be like, you know, like all the kids in town are just like, "You're gonna perform tonight, right? You're gonna," and then they're like, "No, I just fought a dragon. I want to go to sleep." It's like, so you're gonna perform? Where? Right? And you can kind of like force that on them, which is funny because I think that's how it would happen, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Back from fighting a dragon, you're like, I just want a pillowed, like a feathered pillow, like a nice
fucking lay down, please.
Lay down. I have no hit die left to roll. Yeah. I mean, these are just really easy checklist things. You can be like, are they welcoming, indifferent, or are they hostile? You know, like I've had most of my towns are pretty hostile towards new people, especially small towns. I mean,
yeah, but I think that's a thing that it can become, and I think this is what I was saying about it. It can become weary, sort of. It can become that the players are like, fuck, you know, every time we come to these towns, everyone fucking hates us, which is probably how reality would be.
Unless
but that's
you
why I think it's
look like a
important
noble,
to switch
right?
it up. Yeah. Or if you do look like a noble, like maybe people be like, fuck that guy. Right?
The rest of your party is awesome, but fuck that guy.
Yeah, exactly. That guy sucks.
What is he, a sorcerer?
So I think
Sorcerers.
He's a weird blood guy. Gross. No, but like it's important, I think, to switch it up because I think mainly because you don't want the game to feel stagnant. You don't want it to feel like the players know what they're going to expect every time they show up in a place, right?
And like there's a million reasons too that like a town could be very, very welcoming, right? Like you just write a little backstory about like the traveler who came into town, did great things for the town and then left. Right? So they have a fondness for travelers or people who come in through town because they have this like cultural debt that they feel like they owe or they enjoy being like, well, we have this thing, you know, or
they force it upon visitors that stay there. It's like, look, you got to do some community service.
Yeah.
And then we'll love you. They're like, what? Like, yeah. You can either
want
slay
to
that
love you,
dragon
but we need a reason.
Or pick up trash in the park. Like you can feed the ducks or slay that dragon. Well, what do most people do? They feed the ducks. What are you gonna do? You know? This is like the most like angry, like the most angry person just like telling them what the rules of the town are.
They're all brainwashed by a cult and are always nice to new sacrifice. I meant residents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely gotta,
or even
you gotta
like,
do that to them at least once, right?
Even in a town where like a lot of people come and go, you can still have a lot of like an urchin class who are very, you know, into whoever's passing through because they got to make, you know, another dime, another dollar, another coin, another electrum. So I mean, you can have a very warm reception of people who want stuff from you. Does it? I mean,
yeah. I mean. You can have people that are hungry for news from the outside, right? That's always a fun thing, especially if you're starting sort of larger arcs or you're trying to convey that like what they're doing is important, that like other people would be wondering what's going on. Maybe not exactly with that, but like, oh, we heard a war might break out.
War's
or
going
there was
on.
a
Anyone
battle
who comes from the north, you're like, hey, have you heard any news from the north?
Right. And they might even be like, what do you mean a war's going on in the north? We just came from the north.
Oh, we gotta
like,
get out
must have been more north. But yeah, it's like a fun way to really inject that.
How goes the north? Oh, you mean the war? What?
Huh?
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just trying to think of like fun things because I think it's important that places feel real and different and unique. And like it can be something small too. Like it doesn't have to be like a huge thing or like maybe the town needs something from them in a small way, or just like a person in the town could use some help with something. Even if it's just like at the edge of town, like there's a cart that needs a wheel put back on and they, you know, it's like a couple of people that are like, look, we can't do this ourselves. So you guys mind giving us a hand? All of a sudden they have an inn, right? Unless they're like, no, fuck that guy. And then you're like,
they help them and they're like, oh, we helped the Willoughbys with their cart. And they're like, we hate the Willoughbys. Oh no.
Could you imagine? I mean, you gotta have a little bit of both, right? You gotta have a little bit of both.
Yikes. You know why they live on the outside of town?
Yeah, because everybody fucking hates them. I broke that wheel myself.
This is kind of cool.
You fixed it. You dig.
Obi says in his homebrew game, I have a very geographically isolated city that is like that. They're very hungry for outside information and believe that things are still as they were 100 years back, which can be really fun because you can start teaching the players the history of the world through this town now. Right?
Yeah.
Old-timey stuff that could come back later or could affect the things around them. It's like, like King Thyrain? Well, King Thyrain, like, he died 100 years ago. Who cares about him? And they're like, no, he's still around. He's still somewhere in this castle. And you're like, no, the world hasn't heard of him in 100 years, or he hasn't mattered in 100 years. So people have forgotten about him or something. I don't know.
No, that's fair.
That's cool. I like that.
No, I like that too. Any excuse to kind of just make it a little more multi-layered, like to change that, like, oh, you roll into town and everyone's like, oh, well, where's the inn, you know, or whatever, and yada yada. You go to the inn, you're like, okay, who's the barkeep, you know, and it's like any way to change that up.
And it's also important too. I think Obi hit another thing that I was going to talk about is like who's in charge. Is it a council? Mm-hmm. Is it a merchant guild? Is it the local inn? Is just like the biggest establishment, so that the innkeeper runs the town? It's like a mayor. Is it a theocracy? Is it a monarchy? A patriarchy? Like, yeah,
there's so much to work with, and I think the more you can experiment with that, the better, because it just the fallout from like one little decision of being like, oh yeah, like this is like a very religious town. Like the fallout just makes the town for you, basically, because you just have to think like, okay, well, what would religious zealots do? You know, like, oh, it's very simple. Yeah.
I mean, that can also paint like how you take care, like your players, and you can kind of reward your players for doing things like that. Like a cleric rolls into town, and they're like this very, you know, religious group of people at this town, and the cleric knows these customs. The cleric knows how to talk to these people and not offend them. Because in my experience, most people who are like incredibly religious are also easily offended.
It's a broad brush, but I'm with you. And
I'm talking like in like fantasy settings, right?
Yeah, no,
you know, the fantasy priest is never just a nice person. They always have like this following. Yeah, trying to like sacrifice a child or something.
That's a fun thing too, though. Like the overly nice priest that's like not actually out to like murder them. They will 100% be sure that guy is going to murder them. You know, any priest that's just like, yeah, come in and sleep in the church. That's fine. Yeah. We do breakfast at 7, you know, there will be like, wonderful. We got to get out of here. He's going to murder us. You know, like I can guarantee you.
Just people when in reality, you're like nice.
Shouldn't the priests, all the priests actually be like that? Like, in real life and in the game?
I'm sure there's some that are.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just so funny because like I know my players would be like, yeah, no, something sus about this.
Who's taking watch tonight? In the church?
Yeah, exactly. In the church? Yeah, man. Yeah. You can't trust that guy.
In fact, I'm gonna go sleep on the roof.
Committed his life to loving everyone. I'm gonna sleep on the roof. Yeah, I'm just gonna pose as a gargoyle all night. I'm not gonna sleep at all. Just gonna wait.
You end up just like terrorizing the village because you just trust this priest who's just trying to do nice things.
Exactly.
Did you guys see that gargoyle last night? What? You're telling stories. You're telling a fib. No, there was a gargoyle
snarling.
Well, here's a question for you guys, because some DMs like to kind of like build out the world as the story goes along. So for like new locations, do you build those out with the idea of like, will this help my story in some way with the characters, or do you kind of just build it and like just build it to the way that you think is kind of cool in your head and like would make sense in the world? Like, what's your process?
I think it's both. I think for cities, for larger cities, I tend to like have an idea about them first, but they tend to be geographically kind of separate on the whole. Sometimes there's like neighboring cities, which can be very fun. But like for smaller cities or like towns, I usually just kind of like, I whip that out because I'm like, what could be useful right now? Like what kind of session haven't we had for a bit? You know, have we just been like deep in like palace intrigue? You know, it's like, okay, then this town is nothing like that, right? This town will be much more of like, hey, you know, invite the players in and be like, you know, that evening at the local, you know, tavern or whatnot, have someone sit down very friendly and tell them like, yeah, you know, we're just big reap tomorrow, you know. If you guys want to, you know, lend a hand, it'd be greatly appreciated. You know, we got 16 fields we got to pull in. You know, we'll feed you. You know, and like maybe they're like, yeah, that sounds cool. And then they do that. And maybe it's like a little more calm thing. And then something happens. And so it can be mundane. It can be like a field that just catches on fire. Right. And now you have to like do whatever you can to put the fire out. Right. And all of a sudden now it's like,
I love that. That's great. Yeah.
So it's like you just change the tone to match it. And now if you've just had a shit ton of stuff like that, maybe the next town, like it's like everyone's like, just don't go out at night. There's been rabid dogs like around and worse. And like all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, we can maybe rise to the occasion. Or maybe they're like, yeah, we are not going outside. Right. And that's when you put a child outside. Right. Mm-hmm. And they have to save that child or let them be eaten by rabid dogs. And then they have to live with themselves.
Choices.
Which
we all have choices.
They'll probably.
Obi raises a kind of a good question. How do I make shops unique from town to town is a question I'm constantly plagued with because PCs love to shop. I think the best way, you think about like, is the town, if they're going from like poor to rich towns, the selection of stuff they're going to have is different. I like to make like big towns have like very like beautiful, ornate stuff that costs a lot more sometimes, but like you add a lot of like flourishes and things to like a sword or an axe or something like that. But I think mostly the way to make shops different is just shopkeepers. The shopkeeper is like
shopkeepers, outlooks of the shopkeepers, right? Like, it's tough though. I think for me, it's availability of things, right? Like maybe there's a general store. It depends how far away from civilization you are, because you can like you were saying shopkeepers, right, James? Like, and having them be very like sort of loud. Like, how do you sort of get those guys different without hitting the same notes over and over?
I think like there's ways to make like just think about like roll the dice with a person. Like what type of person is this shopkeeper, right? Like, and you can make really any personality work. So it could be fun to be like, oh, this is a kid who's like 15 or 16 years old, who's running the shop for his dad when his dad is like sick or something like that. Yeah. And his dad's like a real hard ass and he's known for that. But this kid is like lived in a world where like he is always going to be like a yes man. So now he's trying to do his best to be, there's a situation, right? There's a fun situation. Or you just got like some guy who's just crazy, right?
Yeah. Like, oh yeah. Come in. Yeah. You want a dagger? How about 2? How about 3? How about 4? You want 4 daggers? You want 4 daggers? Put them on a set and a belt. Ooh, let's get a belt. Look at that. Ooh, look at that belly. Ooh.
Like, are you telling me that Adam Sandler owns this shop? Is that what you're telling me?
No, it's Adam Andler.
I think the other thing on that is like variety of people, obviously, and then variety of what's available. I think that can really help. Like if not everything is available in every place, what happens is like finding the new thing. If they like to shop, then make them hunt for what they want, so don't let them get everything in every town. Make that sort of spread out over multiple towns over a longer amount of time, right? Like maybe they've got, you can get a knife. You can get a knife that you can cook dinner with, but like like a stiletto, like a really nice dagger that's going to actually like, hurt someone. Like, maybe they have to find somewhere else where like, oh, there's some blacksmiths up in the mountain that are just amazing at that. It's like, or you can have this, so like you give a reward for traveling further, for traveling a little further afoot by having access to other things, which I think can be good. Especially like a locale related, like if they're next to a river that was like almost to the ocean, you got to believe that they're going to have a lot of stuff from very far off places. And then you can sort of have them show them things that are from far off. Maybe they're too expensive, but maybe they're only too expensive because they're so far from their origin. But if you're there, it's cheap. And now they're like, well, we got to go there. Like anything to spark that, like, I want to go to that place, I think is super, super helpful.
I had a friend once who made a map and he was very into geography. So he made this very, very in-depth map. And then like you would in what's that game? Settlers of Catan. He took all the resources and he kind of was like, you got iron up here and here and maybe here. And you got gold and find gems. There's a mine here, here, and here. And you got, whatever. You just take up all the resources and you kind of throw them around all over the map. And then he started building cities and towns, and a lot of them he was like, well, I built this city around this iron mine originally because that's where they were, so there was a lot of wealth that brought wealth in here and here. And then he basically was just like, it was easy for him to be like, oh, you go over here, there's not a lot of metal stuff here. Yeah. Just because they're so far away from anything, they have to import any kind of metal they want into the place. And that was kind of a fun way for he kind of tried to make.
That's definitely a very fun way to kind of make
like, if you like
the
that
world
kind of,
feel real and then it helps build the world for you too. You don't have to just be making arbitrary choices. You can be like, well, no, these Iron Mountains, so and then when you explain that to the character, you can explain that too, like through NPCs and stuff, and all of a sudden the world feels much more like, oh wow, okay. And then your players will often be like, wow, you spent a lot of time at this, man.
Yeah,
like we're grateful.
It was a very in depth, like,
get out of the house,
way into detail.
No, that's awesome.
Pretty much just go down the list of like Minecraft materials, and then just spread out all the Minecraft materials all over a map. Right? You're like clay, gold, iron, wood, stone. Yeah, even like rare stone. I mean, if you're right, like
even just
stone.
wood. If you're in the middle of like a desert town, like in an oasis, like wood is going to be expensive as shit. Like they'll have to sand baka, whatever, the wood in or whatever those things were, like that's gonna, so it's like, but I don't know. I think that's
there's also another way.
Actually.
I think just taking like normal things like wood or iron or stone, just take one resource and make it scarce in a town. And now that flavors the whole town. I mean, we had a big town called Odgarad in our campaign, and there's a ton of trees around, but there's also this very, very dangerous moss that grows on every tree in the area. It's just this light moss, and it's not necessarily dangerous unless it's burned and inhaled. So like there's all this wood everywhere, but people don't build out of it because you can't, like asbestos, you can't have it in your house, and no one burns. They really don't have a lot of fires in this area as well because wood is so rare. So like wood is now a resource that is highly sought after.
Yeah, it's fun
for different things, and it works because it's like a tropical place where it never really gets cold. So no one's like, there's no real winters and there's no real like drastic summers. So like, I think you're gonna have to like make sure that that makes sense too. Because I think if you're like, there's no wood here and it's incredibly cold in the winter, and you're like, so everyone just dies every year.
Yeah. But how does that? Yeah. So I mean, you have to think of the fallout of the decisions as well.
I was actually going to bring that up, James, because you do a very good job in Aventide of like having each location have or not have things depending on where you are, geographically. And also, you did a good job. There's that small coastal town we went to that they didn't have like anything. They just had like farming supplies and like just general goods. And you even had like one of the NPC like go off about like farming about like some kind of like farming story or whatever for like a while, and it was really funny.
The Great Locust Wave.
Yeah. So you like use that as part of like the stuff in the town. Yeah. So you couldn't like find like a really awesome sword, but they had like great farming supplies. So like that's really like, it could be fun and like add something to your town.
No, I want a sword. Yeah. What are you gonna do with a sword? Sword's not gonna do good here. Buy a hoe. Or you in the spade? Got them too. Shovel. Full size. What are you looking for?
What was that? Do you remember that SNL skit? Speaking of Adam Sandler, who I forget who was trying to sell it, but they were like, it might have been Chris Farley was like, let the boy deliver your paper or whatever, and pretty soon he was like, let the boy sleep in your house. He just wants to sleep in your house. It's like, I'm a good boy. I'll be a good boy.
I'll be good.
That reminded me of that. Of just have a show. Just take a show.
What do you need? I don't understand.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think that's all really helpful stuff there. And I don't know if you have to like, I think mapping everything out, it can be helpful because you're able to like work off of that and like kind of create stories for each city depending on where they are and like what's provided. But like, if you don't want to do all that work, you can always just like go from city to city and just kind of be like, okay, I'm going to list off like one or two things they have a lot of and one or two things they don't have a lot of, and just like that can be a lot simpler to do.
Yeah,
And I think, whatever they need,
and you take it,
they don't have.
City. When you make a city, just make like 3 bullet points. If you want to make a town unique, just 3 things that are unique to the town, whether it's a resource, whether it's a religious prevalence, whether it's just find 3 unique things about the town and hit those things hard. And then the next time you go into town, the towns could be exactly the same, just you emphasize different parts of culture, and for the players that's going to feel different, I think.
And remember what ones the players have actually, because I as a DM, I think it's very easy to be like, well, I've got this city like this, and this town like this, and this town, and the players haven't seen any of that. You have to constantly be reminding yourself, like, what have the players actually seen, right? Yeah. And maybe you switch things up, because like it's so easy to say, like, well, I mean, if you had just gone inland a little, there was a town just like, what you would have had fun playing in, but you went to this one. It's like, well, then fucking switch them. Just fucking switch them. Yeah. Like, God.
I know. That's my biggest problem. I get locked into an idea and I'm like, I can't change it. I can't change it. And like, you absolutely can't.
It's already been made.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, do you do it for for the story and the players, or do you do it where it's like, well, it's already built this way and this is kind of how the world is, So it's
at the end of the day. At the end of the day, everything has to serve both the story and the players. And what doesn't do that usually is like the map, right? Like being 100% faithful to the map that the players haven't even seen is like usually a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. It's like, you got to be flexible, because you have to know and constantly be keeping tabs on like what kind of an episode did we just have, a session did we just have, like you have to keep mixing it up, unless your players are just like, we just like one kind of thing, and then you just give them different flavors of that, but mix that up too. But
all right, we gotta go on a break, but before we do that, we're gonna go see what's brewing in the cup with our very own Bobby Bishop. Take it away, Bobby.
In the cup?
Hey guys, I just wanted to say, I was perusing my library of D&D books, and I noticed something that was kind of weird. So this is the monster manual, and they have a lot of different creatures in here. They got satyrs, they got doppelgangers, genies, giants.
Okay,
this feels like a bit.
So why is it called the monster manual?
Feels like
Isn't that kind of messed up to call it the monster? Like there's all monsters, right? That's not cool. That's not cool. You should call it like the creature manual, right? Instead.
No, dude. They're all monsters. They're all monsters.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, just generalize.
No, it would have to be the creature compendium, Bobby.
Yeah.
You need alliteration, or else it doesn't work.
The creature. James, I like that. James on the right path. Colin.
Yeah. The player's plan book. I mean, they love doing that.
I call the player handbook the Monster Manual 0.5. So I think it works.
There you go. Yeah.
Dumb.
All right, this has been What's Brewed in the Cup. We're gonna go on a quick break. Don't go away. When we come back, we're gonna have a special guest, Elias Thompson, a DM, a friend of ours, to join us. We're gonna talk a little bit more D&D, maybe get his opinions on some of the stuff we've talked about. Yeah. You have anything else to add, Cullen? You look like you got something to add.
I'm just waiting for you to finish.
Okay. Well, we're going to go on a quick 5-minute break, and when we come back, we're going to have a special guest. Don't go away.
Justice for monsters.
Hello, everyone. We're back from our break with our esteemed guest, Elias Thompson. Woo!
There he is, up in there. Lovely.
Hand gestures, go here. Hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone was doing hand things, and so I got left out.
Yeah.
It's great to be here.
Good.
That's a pretty convincing lie.
I mean, you don't have to lie to them, but that's fine.
I'm a very convincing speaker of words.
Yeah, fantastic.
Speaker of words. That could be like a class. I would love to see that as a D&D class. I'm a fighter.
That's my next
I'm
character,
a
actually.
speaker of words.
Level 3 barbarian, but level 7 speaker of words.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Like what are your abilities? I can piss off whole swaths of people in very short amounts of time.
I use my rage to just curse at everyone who does psychic damage.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
A barbarian that deals psychic damage with rage.
Just gave James many ideas.
Yeah. I think you're just kind of just describing like a politician, basically.
Yeah. I'm a rage cultivator. That's what I do. That's my job.
Like a farmer, but for rage. That's actually great.
Welcome to our. Is it a show? Is that what we?
Yeah.
No, it's an office.
Welcome to the office.
Yeah.
Office hours. They're at the bottom.
Yeah, there it is. Come on, branding. Oh man.
Let's get some chill office music. Well, this is chill, but like, let's get some.
Oh, I haven't heard anything. It's probably because I just turned it down because you always play that stupid beach song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. There we go. Okay.
But I don't know. This is kind of.
Oh! Before we get too far, I have I've made a discovery, people. I've made a discovery, and I want to share it with everyone, with the world. Everyone is always looking for really nice coasters. You know, you need a good coaster. You don't want rings on any of your
Everyone
tables,
is always looking for coasters.
Everyone.
Shopping for him right now.
Yeah. I know. The struggle is real. I've got you covered. All right.
Oh, okay.
And it's not going to cost you anything. All you got to do.
Wowie zowie.
Go over to Home Depot and get the carpet samples. This one is in the style of Otis, and color is wealthy. I grabbed it as a joke like last time. Yeah.
Is that like
that's an entirely different.
That's
different
the only
thing.
color they sell in Connecticut is wealthy.
Yeah. I'd like it in the. We know what color you'd like it in, sir.
I only go to the Home Depots in Connecticut.
Yeah. But having said that, it's like this perfect size of a coaster, and like you go to put something down on it, and nothing thunks. It's like really nice, and it absorbs all the water of like if the glass is sweating. Guys, I think we need to make sure Home Depot never has any of these. We need to just take them all. And two, I think you're going to be thanking me not very shortly. Pretty great.
Not very shortly.
There's a whole wave of Home Depots now no longer giving free samples.
Can't use carpet
Drive to ones in Connecticut.
Coasters?
Yeah. I'll send them around.
Now, question. Do you shave down the middle to make like a little flat part?
No, guys. No. That the cush is where it's at. Like,
it's gonna be all uneven. You can't do that.
Oh, no. No, my friend. You put whatever you need right on there. These aren't cheap.
A very thick carpet.
It's very thick, but the problem, the solution is like you start using it. It really gets down there. You put your giant beaker on there.
All of Colin's cups are giant cups. So
look at this. Yeah. Look at this. I also have tiny cups.
Just lab equipment. Yeah.
Look at it. Look at it. Just sit there. And listen to it. Listen to it. That sounds nice, right? You can't hear shit.
It doesn't sound at all.
For all you stealth drinkers out there, we have a solution for you.
Do you have a drinking problem? Do you want your roommate to not know?
Do you have a drinking problem? Do you wish you didn't have a drinking problem? Carpet samples are the solution for you.
Exactly. Look, next time you're in Home Depot, just grab one. They're free. Tell me I'm wrong. All right? Use it and tell me I'm wrong. Fucking fantastic. I've even used like skinny ass glasses on it
that I can't
for some reason it works
because I have to go to Home Depot first.
Now you have to go to Home Depot.
You've set yourself up for success because I'm too lazy to go to Home Depot.
I know. Irrefutable. Anyway, that's my pro tip.
I wonder if
I don't even know where the nearest Home Depot is.
I'm sure they have them at Lowe's or whatever.
Yeah, there's a Lowe's.
Do you have a friend that has carpet? Just cut a little square out. They'll never notice.
I mean, I have carpet
under the couch. Just X-Acto knife, a little square.
Can you imagine?
Only if the color is wealthy, though. Don't sell yourself.
And then you get caught.
Beige or puce nonsense.
No. How insulting is that? Like, and I'm not even shit. I don't know if you can read that. You can't read that.
Oh, there's a whole sticker on the back.
Oh yeah, no. There's like a whole, because when you go back,
there's a sticker
and
free
you're
and
like,
that comes with it.
Yeah, well,
Like you sold this, but
it's
it
for when you. No, it says free right on here. Oh my God, no. The thing is, the sticker's on there, so when you go back and you're like, oh yes, I'd like this one in wealthy, right? You know, so you can put this on your floor, I guess, and be like, yes, that's definitely enough carpet to tell what the whole room would look like.
yeah, just step on it, tap your foot for a little bit. You know,
exactly. You're like, well, I mean, I guess if I were to lay down, that'd be kind of. No, you use them as coasters. They know that that's the primary use for them. They're great. You're gonna love them. You're really gonna love them. Everyone I know is getting them for Christmas.
I feel like if they knew that people were using these as coasters, like that was their primary use, they would be selling them. They wouldn't be giving them away.
Oh, absolutely.
They'd be selling them in sets. They'd be like, it's your 4 coaster set.
Yeah.
Rug.
There's going to be some little management meeting that happens at Home Depots here in a few months where it's just like a lot of people are just asking for carpet samples and then leaving immediately. We don't know why.
Dude, the fucked up thing is if we were huge, like if we had like stupid followers, you could get that to happen. You could get Home Depot to be like, no, we don't give those out anymore. You gotta buy them, you fucks. Yeah. You know,
Pokimane just goes on and she's like, "Hey, I got this new coaster. It's free from
exactly.
Home Depot's." Like, you mentioned us twice. You owe us 10 cents per sample that people come and get now.
Sounds like a trend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's it,
man. Dude,
Colin,
this is exhilarating.
You need
this
to
conversation
start.
Is great.
Colin, you need to start a TikTok that's called Life Hacks. Just Life Hacks TikTok.
Yeah. Where I just go around and steal things. Apparently.
No, it would be called
they're free cars down at Toyota. All you have to do is leave without them stopping you.
You call it Life's a Hack. Or I'm a Hack. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you could just give
James, don't encourage.
Life sack. That's what we'll call it. Life sack.
Hack.
I'm a life sack.
Life sack.
Oh man.
Oh God. Yeah. Anyway.
So Elias, how's your week going?
Week's been good, busy, normal. Mostly an average week. We saw each other Monday, which was nice. And then you were like, "Hey, I do this thing on Friday." And then I was like,
Melon Ball.
I'm busy. I'm sorry. I can't do it. And then you're like, but for $2,000. And I was like, okay, well, now we're talking. So here I am.
And now your people are wondering why I'm, I've got coasters made of stolen carpet. It's because we pay the people.
Call my agent about this. So
yeah, we pay good money for the people that come on here.
It's really not the fee; it's the 10% agent fee that we got to pay.
Yeah, God, you never budget for that. You never budget for that. You got
a manager too.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it anyway.
It's been a good week. How about you guys?
And we were talking about Melon Ball earlier.
Where are you?
We talked
Did
about
you play Melon Ball?
We all have chunks of skin and body pieces missing. Like, how is that for you?
What do your fingers look like?
Anything. My fingers look mostly normal. The thing about it was the timing of Melon Ball this time was not ideal for me. Probably everyone. Because it was right after I ate a lot and drank a lot.
That's true.
And I'm not exactly in the best shape. So with a very short spurt of extreme physical, violent activity, that your body's deceiving you about how extreme that is because you're in a pool. Right. I was not feeling very well about it.
And lack of oxygen, right? Like, because you're getting
lack of oxygen. I was probably a little dehydrated because of alcohol. And so, it's just
true, right? Like,
I'm not missing anything on the outside, but I definitely am no longer have anything from the inside.
Oh,
nice.
We all paid in different ways.
We sure did.
Because Tony had just finished grilling. You don't like grilling your plate and then
We filled up on hot dogs and beer, and then played a really aggressive game in the water.
Yeah, you played underwater wrestling.
I wonder though, like that.
You remember when we were kids and like everyone was like, "Look, if you swim within 30 minutes of eating, you'll fucking die." You guys literally were like, "You know what we should do?"
I was just like, had this big burger and meal, just like, well, time to go just swim sprint laps in the pool.
Yeah. Hey, remember when we weren't on wrestling team? Let's go do that in the water. Like, what? It's a fucking terrible idea.
It's fun, though.
It was fun. It was fun.
It always is. It always is.
To do exactly once a year.
Yeah.
No,
oh, yeah. Did the watermelon break?
Yes.
Yeah. Immediately.
Yeah, it always breaks.
But not in the pool this time. Apparently last year it broke in the pool.
It always breaks in the pool. It breaks on the edge of the pool is what always happens.
We touchdowned it, we pinned it down on one side and it cracked.
So the first year that we did it, we used just a normal melon, and score after score, it got weaker and weaker until it was just chunks floating everywhere.
Yeah.
The next year, they're just like, we're going to outsmart this. We're just going to get a plastic little thing that looks like a melon. And
No.
And that was okay. That was fine. And so this year, for some reason, they're like, we're going to use a real melon until it starts to crack. And then we'll switch to that one. And it cracked after the first score. And we had to
Yeah.
You
need it though. It has to be because it's got such heft to it. Like it just makes it accentuates the drowning.
It wasn't the same.
What we need is just go and buy like 10 melons or however many melons we score to, and just swap out the melon for each round.
And they can. Well, you just leave them at the end, and then it's like a visual scorecard anyway, right?
Yeah. And
then
the
you
worst
have to
part,
eat them
I have to
all
say,
at the
the
end.
worst
Really good
part
idea.
that I didn't think about is the melon is covered in Crisco, and so after you play one round, your whole body is covered in Crisco. And even that night when I went to shower, I was like, the soap itself, if you get something that's really greasy, soap doesn't even
you gotta
like sud.
Yeah, you have to like Blue Dawn
your own
yourself
skin first and then put soap on.
Yeah, no, you're like Sarah McLachlan comes and just like
body wash
washes you
really get it
on the
off.
beach.
Sarah McLachlan.
Oh God, yeah, no.
Melon.
The poor animal.
I take a shower every single time.
Every single time. Yeah.
Well, when I take
Sarah's increasingly wonderful. She's just a delightful lady. Just to take time out of her day to get the Crisco off of me.
And thank her not.
Yeah. Can't thank. Go stream her albums. All right. She's a hardworking lady. All right. She likes the coasters too. Just so you know.
Back to the coasters. All right, Elias. Did you hear us talking about building towns earlier in D&D?
I saw that it was a topic, but I was.
You had us muted. Smart.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I had you muted.
Smart. Smart. I tried that once. It was nice.
Well, do you have any tips for people about building towns and D&D at all?
One of the things we were talking about is how to make towns unique and feel different, so you're not just walking to the same place over and over and over again.
Here's the same town, but with a slightly different name.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So, what are the things you use or devices you use to kind of like bring variety, especially in regards to like towns and such?
Yeah. I mean, the easiest thing, at least my starting point, is I just think about the different types of towns I've been to in real life. I moved around a bit when I was a kid, and then as an adult, especially, I've been able to travel around some. Mostly that's in between cities, but then there's occasional like towns and stuff. So not everyone has that benefit that they've been able to, travel to different towns. But I, try to think about how it was like, what made those towns different or those cities different, why, you gravitate towards one and maybe you have, bad memories of another. And I try to just use that as a starting point. It gets easier if like the towns are in like different, in continents or, different lands or something, because then you introduce cultures that are just totally just change up everything. That's kind of where I start, and I don't always get it right. I can definitely tell, like, sometimes whenever we're playing game, I'm just like, they are bored because they just got out of a town that acted the same way.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we were talking
What you're saying
about.
is pull on childhood trauma to make towns feel different.
That town I got lost in when my family took a trip to Germany. Yeah, just like that one. Yeah, everyone is super tall here. They've got deep voices, and they and no one speaks common. Yeah. Good.
But that's actually really good. I never really think about it in real world terms of like, okay, just think of like places you've been and like why they were different or like why you liked one versus the other, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I never really thought about it that much.
If it's a homebrew setting too, you have a lot more freedom to do that, which is definitely a blessing and a curse at times. But
I mean,
like this town is like Home Depot. That's a place I've been before. And they give all these examples of
that you can discern
all over the place.
Everyone in this town has like a big orange apron on. It's weird.
Yeah.
They're using like carpet pieces for coasters here. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. And there's some guy in the back.
The tables are carpet. The chairs are carpet. No one knows why.
And they never had to pay for any of it.
It's just free.
It's just here.
I wouldn't have made my house out of carpet squares, but they were free. It's like, yeah, what do you do when it rains? God, it's musky around here.
Oh God. Everyone just has like some kind of like mold poisoning.
Why is your shower made out of carpet squares?
Ironically, the name of the town's called Tile Town, but you know, we're just kind of
Ceramicsville. It's like, I love it.
Yeah. So
no.
that's kind of how
playing on real world stuff.
I'm still definitely getting better at it. I hope.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's the journey, right?
I believe. Yeah. I don't think anyone's
unless you don't want to get good, right? You're like,
here's the town. There's deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. Are there NPCs? Yeah, sure. What? Yeah. There's a store. Fuck it.
Go talk to them or not. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I would love to play like a D&D game with a group of people, especially experienced players, and go out of your way not to give them hooks.
Yeah.
Absolutely no plot hooks whatsoever.
Oh, sounds like a way to get murdered.
The town of Stonewood. That's it. What are you doing?
What's up?
Yeah.
Well, can I look around? What do I? Yeah, roll. I got a natural 20. Yeah, you see buildings made out of stone.
Yeah, people made some buildings.
Some are made out of wood.
Stone and there's wood.
You see a road or two?
Yeah.
Where does it lead?
Well, which is it? I don't know. You tell me.
Probably or two. I don't know.
They're like, oh my god, are you having a stroke behind the screen?
See, I don't think being apathetic like that. I'm saying like you're like, all right, this town, and like you describe this beautiful town and this like flourishing economy and this culture and all this stuff, but there's no problems to be solved. There's just people are doing well. They've got a good head on their shoulders. Everyone's educated and
in that same vein, though. In that same vein, did you guys ever read the short story, The Ones That Walk Away from Omelas? It's a fucking fantastic short story, and I'm going to ruin it for you right now. Okay.
Excellent.
Right. Spoilers.
It's a story about a town that, just like you were describing, James. It's like flourishing. It's perfect. Everyone is happy, except that the town is only that way because they have one wretched child locked in a basement and that only gets fed scraps and never gets fucking bathed or anything like that. And like when you come of age, like they take you to see the wretched child and like, that's it. That's the only thing. It's like, they just show it to you. Right. And like, you can go on with your life in this town and live a wonderful, beautiful lifestyle. There's like mountains nearby and wind like rolls down over the plains where like children ride horses bareback in like races over the summer. And it's like wonderful and picturesque, except for the fucking child. And like, it'd be great to have a town that was like that. And obviously the point of the story is there are some people that go like, I can't live in this place knowing that the actual happiness is built off of the fucking abject horrible life that this fucking poor little child is being subjected to. And there are a few that walk away, but like, you know, like to like show them this wonderful town and then be like, oh, and just, you know, we just have to show you the child. And they're like,
I think we've talked
9
about
out of
this.
10 children love living here.
yeah. But you know, it's like, just give them a really nice place and then just show them like the one fucking thing that's like really fucked up about it.
Moral dilemma
I'm
about
kind of
the
upset
town,
that you ruined that. That could have been a really amazing, like, that could have been an amazing campaign right there.
Whoa!
Or even
An
like
entire
a piece of a
campaign.
campaign. Well, like an arc at least.
A
or
town,
something,
if you will.
Level 1 to
Right?
20 right there. Writes itself.
I like how he's just like an entire campaign. All right, yeah.
I've seen that in a couple different shows.
I just
lately,
wonder,
right? They're
like, does the child stay a child the entire time, or do they swap out the child every so
No.
often?
It's my understanding the child like grows, and then you know, if I'm being honest, the way they describe this child's life, the child fucking probably dies every few years, and they get another child, and the other new child
they
has
make
to
a
just be
sacrifice,
the one.
basically.
But it's like a slow-mo sacrifice, right? Like it's the worst kind of
I
sacrifice.
think it's the same idea though.
Yeah.
It's like a human sacrifice for the greater good, right? If you
the
truly
greater
believe
good.
that like Machu Picchu is going to kill you, unless you
right.
But if you kill one kid, it won't happen. It'll be fine.
usually you want to
But-
kill them, not us, right? So you go grab one of them and then you cut their heart out.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, this kid would be. It's like, it's fucked up. It's one thing if you're like, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice myself for this town, right? It's another thing when you're like, that baby, that one. That one's the one that's going to live in filth until it dies. Like, oh, that's not good, man.
It would have been me. I know it. I would have been.
It's good to be self-aware.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and then the other thing is too, like, I guess you could play the psychology card of like, you take this kid away and then all this happiness goes away. So essentially, are you creating more unhappiness, but it's fair, right? It's that, is it fair, but there's more unhappiness in the world, or you want to?
Well, yeah. And this is all about like building those different types of cultures, right? That are interesting and like different and unique from each other. And I think we forgot to bring up earlier, like, you know, like towns have different like traditions or like holidays or events that they'll kind of like put on, right? Do you guys ever like do that in your game where you have like a certain like holiday pop up? There's a big like carnival or whatever, you know?
Yeah, wretched child night.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah, there you go.
Fucking
That sounds
best.
fun.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Wretched Child Night. I like it.
Wait, what's involved in Wretched Child Night? Oh, you'll see.
Oh, you'll see. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
The town goes wild.
Yeah. Rule number 1: don't talk about Wretched.
Don't talk about
Week.
Wretched Child Night. That's so fucked up. No, actually, I had one like that in my campaign. It's called Goat Night.
Oh yeah, I love this.
Yeah. And basically, it just started off as like, just, you know, you ever as a DM, you just say something dumb just to be like, yeah, that's a thing. Right? It's like, oh yeah. What's and the players are like, oh, so what happens around here? And you're an NPC, and you're like, oh, you know, not much. You know, Goat Night's fun, and you're just like, they're like,
conduit,
right? And you're like, oh, fuck me. So basically, what I did is I just didn't say I kept mentioning it, but didn't say anything about it for like 5 or 6 sessions. Everyone they met though was like, oh yeah, Goat Night's gonna be real good this week. You know, and pretty soon I was like, I'm gonna have to actually write this thing. And then we had Goat Night, and it was delightful. It went well. It went well.
Well, describe Goat Night again, though.
Well, you'd have to show up to Goat Night, Bobby. I can't just. Yeah, you don't talk about Goat Night.
You got 10 more months to go at this point.
Exactly. Long story short, the bunch of giant, like, mutated rams that people rode at each other. So the rams are trying to knock each other out, and the people on the rams are also trying to knock each other out. And you're betting on it. The whole thing is you bet on it. Well, and there are people that can go up. There's a chance you can go up and try and like weaken the ram beforehand. So all these drunk people are like, yeah, fight the ram. And then you just headbutt the ram as hard as you can. And like, since they're dwarves, like most of them survive. But then I made one of the NPCs do it. And they got like fucking like cannoned across the stage and out of the fucking theater. It was beautiful.
It's great.
It was wonderful. Yeah, Goat Night, man. Goat Night. Yeah. And that one of the rules of Goat Night is if it's your first night at Goat Night, you have to Goat Night.
Yeah.
Which is great though, because you can't just have your players be like, "Oh yeah, that looks fun. I'm not doing that." You'd be like, "Yeah, of course not." No, you have to do it, right? Like forcing the players to do fun things is the best because they will avoid it at all costs. Normally,
fun things.
Mm-hmm.
That permanently injure your character and leave long-lasting ramifications for the rest of the campaign.
It's important for the DM to have fun just as much as the players.
Yeah,
exactly. It's give and it's take. You give me pleasure, and I take your ability to walk.
Elias,
man,
what's the average level? You run a game, right? How big is your table?
5 player characters, and then myself as everyone else.
Okay, that's a good size. That's a good size.
Yeah.
And then what?
I think 6
about
is
the
perfect
average
in my opinion.
level of your characters?
They just recently hit level 11 after a little bit of a time skip, and they started at level 1.
Okay,
They're
all
pretty
right.
strong now.
What's your, as a DM, what's your preferred, where's your favorite sort of level zone for your players to be in?
I mean, this is the main campaign that I've run in my DM career.
In your vast experience,
What has been the experience of at least 27 other games. I will say it's been interesting to sort of address like, okay, now they're this level, because I do basically milestone level up, right? I don't.
Yeah. I'm there with you
about XP there. So it's mostly story beats with a combination of battles, and so basically they all kind of level up at once usually. And I think, okay, now that they're at this level, like what are some of the like kind of encounters and like monsters from the monster manual that I can
creature
compendium
that they won't instantly get obliterated by. Likewise, what previous thing was really strong and really tough fight that I can throw at them now and they'll just like flick them away, you know. And then like social situations, because the party I have in particular, they're okay at them, but they, like most D&D parties, usually turn violent at, you know, a couple of bad rolls or choice words thrown around.
They're human.
And
hello,
you put them in higher stakes like situations where things go wrong. It's fun to see them get out of it.
Why do players automatically just after a certain number that they're always like, well, we have to kill him? It's like it's a baker. He just said they didn't have baloney. He's like, nope, he's dead. He's dead now.
We've seen too much.
We've seen too much.
I feel like D&D players are very, very similar to like drivers who have severe road rage.
Yeah. So like at all times.
Like, this guard walks up. You walk up to a big town, and a guard holds his hand down and says, "Oi, who are you?" And you're like,
I stab him.
You want to know who I am? You want to know who I am? I'll show you who I am. Well, bro, I just gotta.
All the players are just BMW drivers. Oh, it's sad but true. Oh man.
You put an NPC out there like them, and they think back to like a couple days ago when they were in a similar real life situation. They have to be polite and cordial and fit into actual society. Cut to that situation, D&D, and was like, "Oh, this is my moment. This is my time. That guy.
This is the one. This is the fucking one." He was asking for it. He was asking for your name. Yeah, and he got it. He got it. Oh my god, guys.
My name is
fun,
the sound of your head splitting in two, and you can only hear it from the inside.
Here we go. Prince? Like an unpronounceable symbol in order to get out of a record contract? That's why you're...
Well, I think it's like...
Don't talk about my record contract.
When people are like put into that mindset of like, oh, I'm now in a story, like in a movie almost, they kind of like think it's like, oh, it's kind of like Scott Pilgrim, like everything has to become like a fight. No matter what's going on, it's always a fight. But it's like, no, you can also like just talk. You can have like a social encounter instead.
Can you, Bobby? Can you? I've tried so much for that to happen.
And there was one situation that my players had level 4, level 5, right, where it was becoming very clear that they were becoming very comfortable just being murder hobos if the situation allowed, right? Mm-hmm. And so I put them in this little hard to weasel their way out of situation where they were basically put through a test by an organization, an NPC. It was just like, it can't be any violence. If anyone dies or gets hurt, the jig's up and you won't get your reward. Nothing happens. So they had to devise, for the first time ever, an alternate way to get their objective done without just resorting to a fight.
I love it. Yeah,
and
that's smart.
They seem to like it, but at the same time, like every so often we'll have a session that's like role play heavy, and like sometimes no encounters will happen, and then the next one will be like, we need to kill someone.
Yeah. There's a certain amount of blood that must be shed. It's like a katana that like it can't sheath it until it's been bloodied again. And they're like, I've been holding this thing all week, man. All right, I'm not cutting myself.
Gethron says, what about talking fights? You can have rap battles.
Well, okay, rap battles are one thing. In that same vein that you're saying, like you said, which is great. Like, okay, this has to be a non-kill thing. That's great. What I did to my players was I fucking had a court. I took them to court and we had an entire session where they were actively like on the stand and shit. It actually turned out like really well. I have never seen players more angry though, because like there were witnesses from the other side that were like kind of lying, but kind of like telling the truth. And like, and it was like this whole like legal battle. It was so much fun. It was the weirdest thing. We were like, we had a Law and Order fucking episode.
Fun. The problem was though, this is the biggest problem with that setting though. Mm-hmm. I wasn't there for the episode that they were talking about.
That sucks like, for you.
I was like religiously trying to make my case. Like this bulldog with like rabies. I was like foaming at the mouth, and in the end, Cullen knew. Right, Cullen, not the DM, not the character I was talking to. Cullen knew that I have no fucking idea what happened.
It was great. It was fucking great. I highly suggest, if you can, set up a court, like a full session that's just them in court trying to argue their case, because it's fucking delightful. Because everybody knows too. Like, we've seen enough movies. Like, you say this, and then there's cross-examination, right? You do it just like a movie. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Objection. Withdraw.
Yeah, exactly.
My players have never made it as far as an actual court situation, but there are definitely some times, especially like I mentioned, we just had a little bit of a hiatus and we got back to it. And I record our sessions, even though it's just a home game, right? It's not something we do for content, but I record them mostly for my own benefit, to just go back and like remind myself of things and
that can get my own facts straight. Incredibly useful. Yeah.
Really useful.
And so I was getting back up to speed, and I'm listening to like them in these situations, which I vaguely remembered the main events of, but lost the details. And I'm listening. I'm just like, they're digging themselves such a deeper and deeper hole. They have like half an army on their back if they keep this up. How did they get out of this? Like, what did they say?
Absolutely. Oh man, it's great.
That was good. That was one of my favorite sessions that you ever ran. I was like, we're literally going to stand, and then we had to have one of the players like literally make opening statements. It was like
dude, it was like a full on like court experience.
I would like to bring up Exhibit A.
I mean, I've literally never been closer to getting stabbed by literally in real life stabbed by my players, but it was so much fun. It was so much fucking fun.
Well, I think like sessions like that, they stand out, right? Because you have the normal, role play combat, right. Chopping every so often, those are kind of like the rhythm that people get into, and people use it as an outlet. They get used to it, they have fun. But then you have those just wacky, bizarre, like standout, like experiences that happen that really stick with players that you couldn't do every single episode. Couldn't do every single episode. But having it happen that once or twice, where it's just like, that was a great time, and also frustrating and hilarious and horrifying, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah.
what, like, I think as DMs, that's what we need to be looking out for at all times. Like, how
An
can
opportunity to switch it up. Yeah.
An opportunity to just get fucking weird, to just be like, yeah, guys, like, you know, and whatever it is, just like look for those avenues that are like, oh, we could totally go down that way. Oh, what about that? You know, I don't know. Fuck.
I mean, I still remember we had an episode where Cullen invited my character to a secret underground sex party in this tower, and it was like this tower had like 10 floors or something. I don't even know how many floors it had, but it was
totally an eyes wide shut one.
Nice.
Every time you went up a floor, things got exponentially weirder. And I think I only made it to floor 3, and then I was like,
I think you got to floor 3,
and then you asked me, do you want to continue? And I was like, ooh.
You met a dude coming out of like floor 4 who looked at you, and like the look on his face, you were like, I don't know about that. Like he was like all bloody and shit, I think.
Blood on his face, a little bit of a limp.
Yeah. And he's just smiling like crazy, and you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. I think my character went peeked up the stairs at like the slightly ajar door, and I was like, no, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
I think there were like meat hooks
group
hanging from the ceiling or something.
I can't take the group into this place with me. I mean, they're not coming inside, but the players at the table, I can't take them there.
That was fucking great. Yeah. Anything to just make it fucking weird. You got to make it weird at all times. Like be pushing the comfort zone of all of your players at all times. Oh, yeah, it's good stuff. I forgot about that. That was fun. That was fun. Yeah, weird sex clubs.
I want to know if you had the other 7 floors ready to go. Like,
dude, I didn't have any floors ready. No. I literally I just wung it. I'm like, okay, I'm not sitting down and planning 7 fucking sex floors. I'm just gonna whatever it seems to be making him squirm. I'm gonna make the next one all of that on it, right? Yeah. So like, yeah, no, that was great. That was fantastic.
It reminds me of the time where both Tony, our friend Tony, who's in my game, and myself each had to improvise wedding vows to each other.
Wonderful.
Which was an experience, let me tell you.
Yeah, they were probably that could be
delightful.
Fun though. I mean that way that they're like from the heart. They're natural.
Or they've been memorized from other weddings.
And it was such a bizarre experience too, because as a DM, I knew this moment was coming. I knew how I was going to approach, but there was also like, it was a wedding that was interrupted by a big, battle. There was a bunch of other like things I was planning. Right. And it gets to the thing on the altar, and I'm also trying to just play the officiant, and it was just like, I understand you each have vows to say? Question. And I looked at Tony first because I hadn't thought about that moment until that exact moment. And he looks at me like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Yes, I do. And he just like spews out some random thing. And then I have to be like, well, now I have to do the exact same thing because I hadn't thought about what I was going to say.
And you've done it to yourself, which is the best part, right?
Yeah.
That's my best
part about myself.
Yeah, it's like I've definitely been there as a DM. I'm like, why did I do this? Why did I do this?
I saw this coming from 10 miles away, and I'm still here.
Even to deviate, just
like
a little
target
bit
fixation where you're like,
and I grab your hands, glowing in that beautiful recitation of love, and I say, ditto.
Exactly. Staring deep into your eyes, she says, same.
Yeah.
Totes.
That's what I would do. I'd make the player jump through hoops and squirm, and I'd be like,
right. Me too.
Yeah.
And
no hashtag,
something like that.
Just me too.
It hadn't been some like Empress that always knew the right thing to say. So,
God, I hate those. I hate those NPCs because you're like, I don't know what to say ever.
All the time.
I'm not smart any of the time. This is a terrible thing. All of my NPCs are just dumb. Everyone's dumb. It's a lot easier for me.
Yeah.
You meet the king. King's like, hey guys. Running country over here.
Pressing this guy who was very drunk at a bar for information for like 30 minutes. And it was great because I just had to be out of it the whole time and just make stuff up.
Isn't it the best when players like don't catch like the gist that you're going like, this guy doesn't know? You don't explicitly tell them that they don't know anything, but you're just being very clear. You're just like, and they're like, we can get it out of him. All right, he knows.
Next 3 minutes before he wakes back up again. It's like, okay, so we're gonna keep asking. I'm like, okay.
All right, buy him around. We'll get him on our side. It's like, stop feeding him alcohol.
Does number 2 work for?
You tell him, honey. I love it when that happens. Sometimes I'm like, I'll finally have the guy say something just because I'm like, okay, well, we can't have 45 minutes of talking to this guy and have them learn nothing. So in a way, they're training me. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, and on our game too. Like, I think one of the issues too is our game is like very respectful. Everyone like, and since we're streaming, everyone's trying to like. They're like, okay, all right, we got to trust that James has a plan for this. So I'll start, like I said, telling a story about the great turnip famine and the locusts that came. And it'll go, and we'll get into like minute 15 of this story. And I'm like, and everyone's just like, where does this go? Where does this go that helps us? I don't.
Yeah.
I respect everybody at this table. Not you really right now, but I'm trying to be respectful. I'm just waiting for them to be like, okay, we gotta go.
So the bar.
That is a fine line too, because like you don't want to lead your players down too many like listen to the lore. It's worth nothing to you.
Yeah. You gotta use that device sparingly.
Very sparingly, yeah. But it can be very fun because they'll be like, we fucking learned nothing. And it's one thing when you're around the same table and at least like you're eating, you know, and you're throwing popcorn at each other. But when you're all just sitting at a computer and you're just sort of like, I could be doing anything right now. Fucking anything. I'm in my home.
Look at everyone's faces and one by one you see Google pop up. It's they're like, look at their cameras and all of a sudden their eyes kind of glaze over like. You hear the keyboard every once in a while, and then they they switch to mute, and then they can type without you.
What were you gonna say, Elias?
Oh yeah, I cut you off. Sorry.
I was gonna say that one of the things I try to remember is DM advice I heard, randomly on the internet ages ago, but
probably watching DM office hours.
Absolutely, it was for that because of that. Anyway, the thing that sticks with me is that you should try your best as a DM to reward players for playing smartly or in ways that you're not picturing, right? And so even in situations where they're basically just beating a dead horse, right? If they do anything in that situation that you hadn't thought of or that was a little creative, you should give them a little something in return for that, always, right? Yeah. In whatever form that takes. But
you have to.
I'm a big fan. I think reward structures are one of the most important things that DMs have to that you don't really think about, especially as a new DM. You don't think about reward structures because the way you reward your players is going to tell them how to play the game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And so
like
you're
that should be page 1 on like the starter's guide. That should be in size 85 font, just like the way it's like, these are dogs you're training. No offense, players. If you give them treats for doing things, they will do those things again and again and again. It's like,
it's one of the
beautiful
dogs.
Wonderful dogs. Just the best dogs.
Very well groomed.
It's one of the reasons I don't use EXP. I don't use EXP for my game.
For those of you that are normal, it's called XP.
Sorry. Those of you who played Final Fantasy VII or any of the Final Fantasies. EXP, all right?
EXP, fine.
Anyway,
he's so old school.
XP or that kind of thing for especially for killing monsters. I don't think rewarding people for killing monsters. No one needs any reward for killing monsters. You could like I actively.
Are you saying I should be killing monsters out of the goodness of my heart?
Yeah, I actively like most of my players when they
I'm a professional hero.
They generally come out worse than they started when they fight monsters. Almost always. Like legitimately behind where they were pre-fight. Nothing new.
Missing an eye. Can't walk right.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you don't throw too many monsters at them. Then, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I
just
try and do
one.
it sparingly. Yeah. But
You do
like,
one early, kill a player, and they'll never.
Again.
Yeah. Look, you just gotta let the kid put their hand on the stove. All right, that's what I'm saying. No, it's fucked up. That's not how it's not
They'll
how you
learn.
do it.
They'll learn.
They'll learn.
quick.
They're dogs. They'll learn.
Well, I think that's
These are
a really
people.
good thing about like milestone XP. I'm sorry, XP. You can do like a big boss battle or like a big thing, but you can also make it like a momentous like event that happens as well, where
Like
they roll. Yeah, like goat. Like you survived goat night, level up. You know.
Exactly.
Honestly,
level down.
You're after goat night. You're just a little bit less alive, but a little bit wiser, and I think that's a lot. That's a level.
Yeah, that's called brain
up.
damage. You headbutted a goat that weighed 800 pounds.
Your wisdom.
Yeah.
Because early on in the campaign, they were trying to subvert a syndicate that was taking over a town, and they got put in a situation where like they had made like one wrong move, like they were going to throw down with like everyone in the room, and it was going to be a tough battle. But it was one of those situations I talked about where it's like, how did they get out of that? They said the right things, they did the right things, they had a few really good rolls, and they got out of it really well. And I was just like, I mean, take your level up. Like, however you were going to get out of this, that's what it was. And you guys did great without even drawing a sword, basically.
Yeah.
That's a great thing
They were
about
asked to.
milestone, because you can be like, once they finish this quest, they're gonna level up, and
Yeah.
that leaves you as a DM open to be like, however they finish this quest.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like, because
Oftentimes
oftentimes
that's a big bad monster at the end, but not always.
very often, but not always. Exactly. And sometimes like they'll be like, well, we gotta kill these things or else we can't fucking level up. And it's like, it opens the world up to being like, no. Like, you became an emissary for the king. Like, level the fuck up. Like, that's huge. Like, you're known to the royalty of part of this world now. Like, imagine if like you're just hanging with Harry. You know, it's just you and Prince Harry just fucking chilling. Like, that's a level up, baby. It's a level up. Even if he has.
Is he a prince anymore?
I don't know. Okay, Charles?
He leveled down so that you could level up. Is how that
Nice.
I like it. Oh man. Yeah. No, I don't know. I'm full on for milestone. It also takes, like we're talking about, like just taking away that need to like where everyone's jonesing to be like, we have to kill everything. The more you can temper that notion, the better, in my opinion.
For the world.
Because everyone will die. Everyone will die. They're like, orphanage?
All right,
Sorry.
Elias, I'm going to pitch you something. This is an
Uh-oh.
old
Ready.
AD&D rule. Gold for EXP.
Oh man. Here he goes again.
Think about this. 1 gold per EXP makes gold super valuable, because most people in games, especially around a level 11, people are like, what do I need gold for anymore? Right? Like the magic item here or there. Gold for EXP. 1 now makes capitalism just everywhere. Capitalism reigns free. You'd be surprised how many things become very realistic. People like little kids running hey, can I have a compass? And you're like, this is an EXP point. Hell no, kid. Or it's like, it's 100th of an EXP point, and you're like, no. I've never seen players take gold and just sit on it like smog and protect it. And then you'd be like, oh, this kid's burning in this house. Are you gonna go and help him? And they're like, are you gonna kick us back some money? And they're like, we don't have anything. And you're like,
James, what you're pitching? You're pitching Atlas Shrugged 5th edition.
Yeah.
Like, you're pitching like the Ayn Rand fucking like super erection.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
what do you think? What do you think, Elias? What do you think about this?
I don't know anything about gold for EXP, but gold for XP, on the other hand, that would be an interesting notion. It would definitely change. Yeah, like there would definitely be situations that players would handle totally differently, because I think at that point it becomes much more of a traditional like game. or like almost RPG like video game where it's almost a direct relationship. I think there would be some things to gain, but probably more lost.
I see. I agree.
Because my favorite part about gold for
I think
XP
it would be an Ayn Rand hellhole.
you have to spend the gold to get the XP, and you can spend it on anything. So it's great for a world building campaign because you're like, all right, I start a tavern and I put 500 gold into the tavern, and now I own this tavern in this shop, right? And I have, and that's my 500
What
gold.
fucked up world are you living in that you can buy a tavern for 500 gold?
They call it EXP.
That's a good point.
Yeah. It's more of like a beer kiosk, but
Yeah. Or
It's a Vespa. It's a Vespa with a keg strapped to the back.
It needs some work. It's a tavern that needs some work.
And you have your level 20. You have the level 20 wizard who's on
The
top.
fucking
His name is
property brothers are there. Like, we can make this nice.
There are level 20s in prison for who knows what,
Yeah. All the level 20
it's a
characters are
foreclosure.
like Musk. You have
Oh,
Madoff.
God,
you have Gates.
Oh, Lord. I hate it.
I look forward to you running this campaign for not me.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Isn't there like a feeling of like exhilaration when you're able to like buy a property in a fantasy world? It's like the weirdest thing, but it's like it's a made up world. It's not real, but you're like, oh, I own property now.
Bobby, that's the closest I'll ever get to owning property. So yes, there's an absolute fucking full-on erection that's happening if I could buy a tavern, even in a fantasy land. Are you kidding me?
RPG, sign me up.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I'd make the
Bobby.
fucking DM write out a deed. I'd be like, and I'd frame it. It'd be up on the wall next to my useless fucking degree. Like, it'd be great.
Oh,
Like saying like insert celebrity here, but you're like, isn't it like people get excited, like even though it's fake, but like you have like you go on a date with a character named like after this celebrity, and you're like, yes, of course, because I'll never ever.
Not in a million years.
Yeah.
They would hate me in real life.
Bait
you know me?
Bait Keckinsale goes on a date with you, and I'm like, yeah, that's the closest I'll ever come.
I'm more excited about owning property than that. I don't really care about that one, but owning property sounds cool.
His wife can hear him in the room right now.
Yeah, she's within earshot. She's within earshot. It's like, we'll get the truth later to you home.
Yeah, it's not appealing to me at all.
Earmuffs.
Yeah. I meant to say to Sam Telek.
Yeah, but you know what's gonna happen, like James. You'll play in a campaign I'm running again, and I'll have Bait Keckinsale or whatever, and then just have her be real mean to you the whole time, and just like a real jerk. What do you think?
But
that'll just make him like her more.
Yeah, that might backfire. That might backfire royally. He's just when
does the bad stuff happen?
Yeah. Like, whoa, easy, buddy.
James, put your pants on.
Yeah.
What?
Did anyone hear something?
I was role playing. I was just role playing. I wasn't doing it for real. I was just role playing. Method.
Having said that,
RP.
I've only done this once or twice as the DM, but if you can come around, if you're playing in person with your players, and you can come around the table and get into their personal space as an NPC, always do it. Always do it. Preferably, if you can sit in the same chair they're sitting in, do it. It will be awful for everyone except you. It'll be so funny. Do it. I love it. It was the best, especially if they don't like consideration.
That yeah.
Did I do that to you, James?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
You see, he loved it. He fucking loved it.
It was one of those things. I'm like, oh man, when does this bit end? How long does this bit go for? All right, I'll go along with it. Colin's doing a thing, guys. Colin's doing a thing again. He's doing this thing again. All right, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, other players across the table who just want to kill the dragon. We'll do this.
There are no dragons here.
It was very fun. It's very fun because it just, you'd be surprised too, having the DM come around to the player side of the table and then sit down with the players changes the dynamic of a table in a profound
I mean, it's just
way.
like Outback Steakhouse, you know? It's like
just like that. Yeah.
I'm not just taking your order. I'm sitting in the booth with you. All right, we're friends now. All right, this bloomin' onion, I might take a bite from it later. You know, you're part of the journey. I'm sorry, did I cut you off, James?
You're definitely getting spit in your drink. I'm gonna become a part of your meal. What?
No, I'm sorry. What?
Well, it's 8 o'clock.
Oh God! All right.
Oh,
wow.
Cullen is like way past his
Much later.
time. Yes.
Much later.
We got to hit the Home Depot before it closes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be a run on these things. I can't wait to go next time and look and be like, oh my God, those weren't free.
There's somebody who has all these like who just needed a couple spots in their carpet filled, and there's just one spot missing. They're like, no, where did it go? Or they have like a rug.
Well, someone cut it out when they were over for a coaster. I don't know.
Yeah. Some asshole.
It comes out that he didn't actually take it from Home Depot. He just went to someone's house and cut it out of his floor.
It's cool, baby. Be cool. Cool. I put out a Home Depot sticker on the back and labeled it. No, it's totally legit.
Totally legit. All right.
Totally legit.
Well, with that, everybody at home, if you ever have some time or you're on Twitch perusing and you want to watch some riveting gameplay, Elias Thompson on Twitch, we have his link right here. You can catch him. Elias, tell us a little bit about your stream before we go.
My Twitch stream. Well, I have a weekly Friday evening show called DM Office Hours. I was trying to switch the front letters, but it doesn't work so well. With
MD Office Hours. It's a much different show.
I just sit alone in a room and stare for 2 hours. No, it's I stream. I don't have a schedule. I do it as a hobby. Nice. It's also where I use my degree the most, being in TV or radio broadcasting, and then streaming Twitch.
Ooh.
I knew that silky smooth voice didn't come out of nowhere. There's money behind that thing. There's paperwork. It's got a pedigree. I can tell.
It came from genetics and lack of bodily damage. Video games usually. Sometimes I stream working on stuff. A wide variety of things that you may or may not find entertaining. Here's the thing: I don't stream to entertain.
You're really selling it. You're really selling it. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't stream to entertain. I stream to hang. I stream to chill.
Okay. All right.
It's like I'm playing a game, and if you want to, just hang out with me while I do it, and
He's basically like, I dare you to enjoy yourself. He's like, I fucking dare you. You filthy fucking
Special Guest Thompson.
This isn't for you. This isn't for you.
I have a funky username. It's just my name.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. And what kind of games do you usually stream?
I definitely have my favorites, and then randomizers of those, speedruns of those, Metroid games, Zelda games, Pokemon games, and then random stuff like Minecraft, or good AAA titles like Star Wars Fallen Order, or just whatever tickles my fancy at the time. Whether it's a new game I want to play, I just played Haiku the Robot, which was great. Or if it's, my old favorite game that I want to play for the 200th time, I will do it, and I won't feel bad about it.
Doki Doki. Nice. I get you.
Doki Doki Literature Club. Well, cool.
I have some poems to write later.
Oh, it's so dark. So dark.
Gotta cut the stream. Thank you so much for joining us, Elias. This has been so much fun having you. We'll definitely have you back.
Absolutely.
Again soon if I can find another $2,000 plus the agency fee.
Yeah. Our lawyers are going to be in touch.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No wonder he can stream as a hobby.
Hey guys, it's Bobby from The Cup. If you enjoy DM Office Hours, check out our D&D campaign. It's on every Monday at 7 p.m. on twitch.tv/MinusOneCHA. Or just watch DM Office Hours every Friday at 6 p.m. Take care. I'll just hang out here.